Hi guys, in today's video I want to go through with you the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick. This one is in the shade Light. If you follow my channel you will know that I'm kind of learning as I go when it comes to contour and blush and highlighter, and I'm kind of taking you along for the ride. So this is probably, no, it's the second actually contour stick, cream stick that I have ever bought. This one I bought because it apparently is a really good shade and it kind of is universal for everybody, and also it has a little brush that comes with it. So this is the packaging. It's got the little Makeup by Mario white branding on it. It is all white with a black seam around it. It is very chunky, like it's enormous. You get 10.5 grams, which is quite a lot. I think on the Fenty matchstick you get 7.5 grams. I think most contour sticks come with a lot less than that, basically. I've heard a lot of people say that the packaging is a bit sort of cheap feeling, but I don't know if I agree. Like, it's a little bit fiddly with the brush and that, and a lot of people say that it's annoying that you can't get the lid on because of the way the brush isn't retractable, so it doesn't, like the bristles sort of splay. But I haven't had a major problem with that, but it is fairly new, so maybe that will come with time. But this is, like I say, in the shade Light. I'll show you what colour it is. It scrolls out like this. I don't know if that's the word. And this is the colour of it. It is more, I would say, of a bronzing colour than a contour colour, but that is good for me because I don't want to look too muddy. And one thing I did find with the Fenty matchstick was that it felt a bit muddy, but that is, in fairness, probably because I don't know what I'm doing. This is the Fenty matchstick in Amber. You can see it's a much grayer colour, and actually now I swatched that on my hand, that is a lot more stark than I had realised it was going to be. So like I say, this is the Fenty matchstick in Amber. This is the Makeup by Mario Contour Soft Sculpt Shaping Stick in the shade Light. So that is the lightest one they do. They actually do 6 shades, which I think is pretty good for a contour or stick or bronzing stick, whatever you want to call it. And also I like the fact that it comes with the brush. This is what the brush looks like. It's got little sort of knobbles on the end. It's a very short, stumpy, very dense bristled brush, but I like it. I don't know if the knobbles do anything. But from what I can gather, what he says is that you should draw it on and then just use the brush, just dab the brush on and don't swipe, because swiping takes away the under makeup apparently. I'm going to show you, or when I say show you, I'm going to try it on one side the way I believe he says you're supposed to do it, and on the other side I'm going to do it with a brush because, well, for myself I want to see if it makes any difference, and also so you can see if it makes any difference. So like I say, this is the colour. Like, for me, the only thing I don't really like about it, yeah, probably one of the only things I don't really like about it is how thick the stick is. Like, Victoria Beckham does one that is just a really fine stick, and then you do 2 lines, and I feel like that for me would be better. But again, I don't really know what I'm doing, so maybe once I've mastered the art of where to place it, then I'll be better. But at the moment I am just using the side of the stick basically, so you get a finer line. Because if I were to, especially where I'm older, I think you don't want a thick line of contour, you want a fine line of contour, or in my opinion anyway. Also, I just, like, despite having quite a big round face, I don't seem to have a lot whenever I'm doing it. It seems like I've run out of space, if you know what I mean. Like, you're supposed to do the contour and then the blush and then the highlighter, and it's like, I don't want to end up going too low. Anyway, so I'm going to try on this side with the brush that comes with it, and then on this side with my own brush. So I believe what I'm supposed to do, tuck my cheek in and then go from about where the pupil is up towards the top of my ear. So that's what I'm going to do. So my cheekbone, I would say, is here. And I believe you're supposed to go just below the cheekbone. So I'm going to go see, I don't know if that is too much or not enough. So I'm going to go more. And on this side, I'm probably going to use the same, like draw it on, just because otherwise I get confused about where I've put it. Or should I? No, I'm not. On this side, I'm going to draw it and then blend it with the brush. And on the other side, I'm going to just put some on the brush and then try it where I think it's supposed to go, so I can see, and you can see, if it's better, like sort of less harshly applied, which I think is the case, because this to me seems a bit harsh. Like, how are you ever supposed to sort of blend away such a harsh line? But I have tried and it has worked. But one thing I should note is that I have got, like, I have powdered my face, so I believe this works okay with powdered face, like on top of powder, but like just letting you know in case it does affect it. So I'm just using the brush. And I've seen people do this when I have been watching videos to work out if this was something I wanted to buy. And they always seem to cut out, you know, like they edit it. So they start blending and then it seems to edit to them finishing blending, basically. So I specifically don't want to do that because I don't think that's real, basically. So that actually hasn't taken very long at all, but also it's hardly there. Like, what I'm really conscious of is ending up with an obvious line, and I feel like there is still a line there. I'm just pushing down with the brush. It's hard because, like, obviously I've now kind of, like, where I've been poking myself, it makes my cheeks sort of flush a bit. I don't know if that's any different. I can see something, but again, I feel a little bit like that's kind of a bit too muddy, but I don't know if I'm imagining it. So that is me blending it in with just the brush that comes with it. I mean, I do think like that has done something actually. And on the other side, I will do it with the Real Techniques. I think this is actually a foundation brush, the Real Techniques 200 brush. And I'm just going to put some from the stick onto the brush and then onto my face and see if that is a less, well, I would say a less harsh effect, but it's not particularly harsh as it is it? So again, this is my cheekbone, I think, here. So I want to go somewhere below that, around there, and then up towards my ear, apparently. So I'm not going too far in. That feels like it's a bit too much. It's weird, when I look in the mirror, it doesn't look that heavy, but on the camera that looks quite heavy. But that being said, I do prefer it this way, I think, because I feel like it's you're applying a softer line, although it is a larger line, I guess, but you have more control over just sort of, I don't know, blending it in a more natural way, whereas that is more of a line, so there's always a risk that you're gonna end up with a line. I can't, I mean, you can probably tell better than I can. Maybe when I watch the video back it will be more obvious. But like, I feel like that has blended in better, and when I look at that now, that looks to me like it's supposed to look like a darker area here. That is my natural shadow. Whereas on that side, it feels like there's just a bit of a line there, which is essentially where I drew the line. And maybe I needed to draw 2 lines, but then I don't want to end up with loads on. But equally, I would quite like to be in a position where I could just use the stick and the brush, because it saves me having to have another brush with me at all times, basically. But I definitely prefer that side. What do you think? Like, that side, you can It's very minimal, which is good, but also it feels like there's kind of darker bits. I don't know if you can see that. It feels a bit more patchy basically, so I feel like I would probably go, now I've seen this on camera, more with just doing it with the brush than trying to do a line. Let me see if it makes a difference if I do it. Maybe it's just my face is different shapes. I think actually my face is a different shape. The problem is that I've got a roundish face and I don't know really where my cheekbones are. Like, it's not especially obvious. Like when I suck my face in, it doesn't go that far up. Yeah, see, even doing that on that side with the brush over the top, I think that looks better in my opinion. It looks maybe a bit darker, but also a bit more blended and a bit less. And maybe if I kept going with the brush, but the problem is where it's stubby and quite dense, I feel like I'm just wiping off the under colour, so I'm kind of reluctant to do that. But I think that that's quite good actually. What do you think? So I would now normally go over the top with a powder or something to maybe diffuse it a little bit. I can do that if you want me to. I will, now I've said it. I'm just using the IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pore powder, just because it's here next to me. So I'll just go over the top, and actually I'll probably then go over with like a bronzer sort of everywhere, so that would add to the colour, like the effect a bit more. But I actually really like that. I think it's a pretty good natural contour, which is what I'm looking for basically. Whereas I found with the Fenty, I'll do another video on the Fenty where I try it, but I found that it just was too muddy. And I mean, look at that, it's so grey, which I know it's supposed to be the case. Like I know contour is supposed to be a greyer colour because it's supposed to be a shadow, but for me it just looked muddy on my skin. I don't know if that's because I've got cool undertones, so it's just too cool all over. But for me, this is a good colour because it's more of a bronzer essentially. So yeah, that's it really. So I can't remember if I said the price. It's £32 at the moment on Sephora. I think that's where I got it from. I think they're the same as the blushes, which I'll do another video on. And that's it from me. So if you've enjoyed this video in any way, then please like and subscribe. If there's any questions you have about the product or anything else, then please let me know. And that's it from me. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.